In Bloodborne, there are plenty of ways to miss various questlines, NPC interactions, and items in the game. In this guided walkthrough series, we'll be hitting upon all the NPC interactions and quests, as well as unique items and bosses. We'll also be covering how to get all trophies in both the main game and the Old Hunters DLC. In other words, we'll be doing just about everything that is encompassed in a satisfying playthrough of Bloodborne. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Also, part 1 of this series will be a bit more heavy on important information for first-time players, just to help them get familiar with important game mechanics, as there are some key differences between Bloodborne and other Souls-like games. When creating a new character, I went with the military veteran origin, as I am mainly going for a strength and skill build, which the veteran origin is ideal for. If you're new to Bloodborne, I recommend doing a bit of research on viable builds and planning things out ahead of time, as there is no way to reset skill point allocations in this game. On the other hand, if you enjoy a melee combat playstyle, then you can just follow along with how I am distributing points and building my character to progress through the game with a reasonable level of challenge. After we've created our character and following a few cutscenes, we can make our way out of Iosefka's clinic to the first lamp or rest point. We don't have our starting weapons yet, so it is best to avoid combat. If you die on the way to the lamp, that is okay, as this will also bring you to the Hunter's Dream location. If you manage to avoid death and reach the Central Yharnam lamp, you can activate it and use it to reach the Hunter's Dream, which is the central hub for Bloodborne. We can interact with the messengers on the staircase to get our starting trick weapon and firearm. The Hunter Axe is very beginner friendly and is what I will be using. I also went with the Hunter Pistol. Be sure to also grab the Hunter's Notebook and speak with the NPC Gehrman if you'd like. As with most Souls-like games, we should be very careful around friendly or neutral NPCs so as not to harm them. We can then interact with the first tombstone in Hunter's Dream to awaken back above ground. We'll do so in the first floor Sickroom. Going up the nearby stairs, we can speak with Iosefka to receive her blood vial. We'll then head towards the Central Yharnam lamp, collecting several useful consumables along the way, mainly blood vials, and more on that in a second. I mostly use the Hunter Axe in two-hand form, which can be switched to with the L1 or left bumper. In this form, it has a great spinning charged heavy attack, R2 or right trigger. There's also a nice combo that can be performed by tapping R2, then R1, and then R2 again. Blood vials are the primary way to recover health in Bloodborne. Unlike many other Souls-like games, they are not replenished upon resting. However, a majority of enemies have a decent chance of dropping blood vials when defeated, and so it's not too difficult to keep the supply of blood vials topped off while exploring the world. What's also nice about this system is that we can instantly hold the max number of 20 in our inventory, and they always restore 40% of our max health. Also, this is a good time to mention that if you still have questions, then feel free to ask them in the comments section, and I'll do my best to provide an answer. Starting from the Central Yharnam lamp, we'll make our way through the streets below, deeper into Yharnam. There are a couple of NPC quest steps we need to complete, items to collect, and most importantly, we want to unlock the ability to level up using Blood Echoes, this game's version of Souls. In the courtyard with the large fountain, we can find the torch offhand near a troll banging on the large pair of doors. We'll then need to run up the stairs to the left, past a group of huntsmen and dogs. We'll run straight across the Great Bridge to the descending stairs on the other side. There'll be a path to the left through some destructible containers leading down into the sewers. Bloodstone shards are the first tier of material used to upgrade our weapons, so be sure to look around for them while exploring. In addition to the fixed locations where they can be found, certain enemies like the large huntsman in this area have a small chance to drop them when defeated. Carefully dropping down to the channel below, we can move towards the nearby ledge. Before dropping off, we should defeat the large huntsman to our left and grab the iconic Hunter's armor set. Another nice thing about Bloodborne is that there is no encumbrance system, so we can choose our armor purely off of stats and vibes without worrying about any sort of weight. Dropping down once more, we'll then climb up 2 sets of ladders before making our way across a small bridge towards another ladder with a nearby troll. At the top of this ladder is a shortcut that we can open up back to the central Yharnam lamp. We can also speak with a girl through the nearby window and agree to find girl's mother. This will progress her quest and get us the tiny music box. With all of that handled, we'll backtrack a short distance down 2 ladders, then move through a new sewer channel, climbing up the ladder that will be found on our left. Keep in mind that we're heading towards a new friendly NPC. Moving across the next chamber, we'll go up the staircase, then break through some containers to reach a slightly hidden area. Through an opening to the right, we'll find Eileen the Crow. We can speak to her multiple times to get a handful of bolt hunter's marks and the shake off cape gesture. This also progresses her quest. Moving back inside, we should carefully cut down the 2 sacks hanging from the ceiling. The nearest one has a couple of bloodstone shards, but more importantly, the second sack has the Sawspear weapon. If you want both drops, you'll need to make your way back up to the upper level and drop down on the other side of the channel below. Before doing that though, drop down to the central channel and go to the dead end with several giant rats. There is a Madman's knowledge, which can be used to unlock the ability for leveling up. There are just a couple more things for us to do before returning to the Hunter's Dream. First, we'll move all the way down and out of this channel, then go to the right. At the end of the next channel, we'll then go right once again. Moving past several rotten corpse enemies, we want to move quickly through a tunnel into the chamber with the man-eater boar, where we can grab the Saw Hunter badge before doubling back out of the tunnel and climbing up the nearby ladder. We can then unlock a series of shortcuts back to the central Yharnam lamp, starting with a lift and followed by a series of doors and gates. Using the Madman's knowledge will give us an insight of 1, and doing this before returning to the Hunter's Dream will awaken the abandoned doll NPC. Speaking with the doll allows us to channel our blood echoes, in other words, to level up our stats. I recommend starting by getting Vitality up to at least 30 as soon as possible. I would only invest points into other attributes if it's necessary to use a specific weapon or item for a build that you're going for. Some new messengers will also appear nearby, and we can interact with them for the Beckoning Bell, Silencing Blank, and Old Hunter Bell. These are only important for online play, which will not be covered in this series, and which is, fortunately, not required to get all trophies. We can also upgrade or fortify our weapon of choice over at the workshop, assuming that we have the required bloodstone shards and echoes. This is also where we can repair our weapons, which is only necessary to do on occasion. If we wait too long, we'll get a notification that our weapons are at risk, and at that point, they start dealing significantly less damage. Once again, those large huntsmen have a chance to drop bloodstone shards when defeated. It might be worth going through the areas we already covered a few times to farm enough shards to upgrade your weapon of choice to at least +2. You can also spend any additional blood echoes on increasing vitality or other attributes. That's because our next objective is going to be to defeat the first 2 major bosses in the game. Starting at the central Yharnam lamp, we'll move through the shortcut to the left, then up and out the top of the house. This will bring us to the Great Bridge, and we can go left down to the far end, past a troll to reach the first boss arena. You can pause now if you want to fight it blind. For everyone else, let's talk strategies for defeating the Cleric Beast. First, I recommend fighting it a few times without using any blood vials so that you don't waste them on attempts with a low chance of success. I found an aggressive playstyle to be the most effective, trying to dodge past and to the side of the beast's attacks rather than back away from them. Following this with a R2 and R1 combo is pretty effective. Some important things to watch out for are the beast's grab attacks, which are heavily telegraphed, giving plenty of time to get out of the way. Defeating the Cleric Beast will get us the Sword Hunter badge, and we can use the nearby lamp that appears to return to the Hunter's Dream and spend our blood echoes. The Sword Hunter badge will allow us to purchase the Hand Lantern from the Messenger Bath, which is a great tool for seeing in dark places without the need of a torch. I recommend equipping the lantern along with the tiny music box to quick use slots. We'll then return to the central Yharnam lamp and make our way through a series of shortcuts, ending with that lift that we previously opened up. After going down the lift, we can then cross the long bridge to our left, sidestepping the group of huntsmen and rolling fireball that gets sent our way. The next boss fight is just up the stairs, and you can pause now if you want to fight it blind. For everyone else, let's talk about how to handle Father Gascoigne. In my opinion, he is a bit more challenging than the Cleric Beast. In the first phase of the fight, when Gascoigne uses his axe in the one-handed form, he's vulnerable to gun parries while trying to perform light attacks. We can parry him, which will then open him up to a visceral attack. This is performed by approaching the vulnerable enemy and tapping R1. Gascoigne will become more and more difficult to parry the more times that it's done to him. Once he switches to two-handing the axe, I would say that we should do the same. At around 1/3 remaining health, Gascoigne will transform into a beast and become very aggressive. Be super aware of your surroundings and try to avoid getting backed up into a corner. We can use the tiny music box item here a single time to stun Gascoigne and open him up to a heavy attack. Making good use of this opening should help end the fight quickly before things have a chance to spiral out of control. Defeating Gascoigne will get us the Oedon Tomb key and cause the Tomb of Oedon lamp to appear nearby. Before heading back to the Hunter's Dream, we can go up the nearby stairs, then drop off a ledge to pick up the red jeweled Brooch, which we should not use. Instead, hang on to it as we go back up the stairs and proceed towards the Cathedral Ward, grabbing the Blood Gem Workshop tool along the way. Another friendly NPC, the Oedon Chapel Dweller, is located there. He's a bit creepy looking, but actually a very nice guy. We'll want to speak with the Dweller a few times before heading back to Hunter's Dream to spend our blood echoes. This will give us the option to send lost NPCs to the chapel. Next, let's make a brief stop at the first floor Sickroom and go speak with Iosefka once more. This will give us the option to send lost NPCs to our clinic. Speaking of NPCs, let's return to Central Yharnam to find a few. To begin, we can speak with Gilbert right next to the lamp until he gives us the flame sprayer weapon. We'll then head down the left path and through the house, continuing straight ahead past several dogs to reach the window of the lonely old woman. Speaking with her, we want to make sure that we tell of Oedon Chapel. From there, we'll move down through the sewers to reach the window of the young girl. Technically, we have two choices here. If we tell the girl of Iosefka's clinic, we can later get the worst variant of the Formless Oedon rune. Since this is not necessary for any achievements, I would instead recommend telling the girl of Oedon Chapel to get a fancy bow for our messengers. In either case, we will want to first withhold the information about the girl's mother and do not give the jeweled brooch. We can then tell her of Oedon Chapel. At that point, if we reload the game by exiting to the main menu before loading back in, we'll find that there is no longer any response from the window. We can then make our way down to the sewers below and face off with that man-eater boar that we ran past previously. If we told the girl of Oedon Chapel, the boar should now drop the red messenger ribbon when defeated. With all of that handled, we'll make our way to the nearest lantern and return to Hunter's Stream. Bloodborne has several items in the same accessories category as the red messenger ribbon. They're basically cosmetic items that can be equipped to the messengers by interacting with the group of them that appear in the hollow tree trunk, around the left side of the main structure in Hunter's Dream. At this point, we can use the red jeweled brooch to get a red blood gem. At the workshop, this can be slotted into any blood gem slot in a weapon of choice to increase the damage it deals. Also, gems can be removed from weapons at any time, so there's no reason to save them or not insert them into whatever weapon that you happen to be using. Returning to the Cathedral Ward, we'll speak with the Chapel Dweller until we get the Triumph Gesture. The lonely old woman should also be here now. Going out to the left of the old woman, we'll then grab the top hat hunter armor set from beneath the nearby tree before quickly getting out of there. This next part is mainly for new players, and it's just a brief diversion to go get some upgrade materials as well as the Monocular item. We'll start by heading up the nearby staircase and then going down the path to the left. There are several pickups for Bloodstone Shards down this path, as well as a Wandering Madness, which is basically a loot scarab. It'll drop a couple of shards when defeated. If it gets away and vanishes, you can reload the game to have it come back. Just watch out for the nearby Chapel Giant so that it doesn't get you while you're going for the bug. We will eventually reach a dead end with a chest containing a Tempering Blood Gemstone. This can be slotted into our weapon of choice for additional damage whenever we next get the chance. Doubling back towards the entrance of Oedon Chapel, we'll then move down the alternate path, the one that is to the left when exiting the chapel. Going this way will bring us to another church structure, and we can loop around the left side to reach another friendly NPC, Alfred. Speaking with Alfred and agreeing to cooperate will get us the Pray Gesture and some fire papers. We can then speak with Alfred and ask about various destinations throughout the world to get some hints and lore. Going back a short distance and into the upper level of the structure, we can pull a lever to open a passageway that leads down to the lamp for Old Yharnam. If you're having any trouble or need clarification on what was covered in this video, you can reach out to me in the comments where I'll do my best to help. Old Yharnam and beyond will be covered in part 2 of this series. You can find it over on my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Friday and a great weekend. And as always, thanks for watching.